Joining me this morning to talk a little bit about the upcoming season and events at the Farmington Civic Center and beyond, Randy West is here. He, of course, is the director at the Civic Center, manager, director. What do we call you, Randy?
Civic Center supervisor.
Supervisor. Pardon me.
No, direct. It's all director, manager. They're all synonyms.
Other duties as assigned, I suppose, too. Right. Anyway,
absolutely.
Welcome.
Than't you.
Good to have you here. Merry
Always
Christmas
a delight.
to you.
Merry Christmas.
You are a busy guy as always. You really haven't. Haven't had a vacation. I don't think since.
I haven't. We haven't much.
I don't think so because it's one show after another with you.
It is.
And another one is coming up this week, which is why I wanted to get you in
and
talk
you know
about
it's funny. I was thinking when I was I booked the first season, and then the first season I booked Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And it did well, and everybody loved it. And then I was thinking, well, we should skip a year and then bring it back. And I was in a meeting with the assistant city manager, Julie.
Right.
And she said, "Are you bringing back Christmas Carol?" And I said, "Well, I could." And she said, "Well, I think you should."
Oh.
And I said, "Well, let me find out." And I called him, and we made. And so it ended up actually. We had a year when we didn't do anything. Was the COVID year?
Well, of course, right. Nobody did anything.
I know.
Right.
So we had Christmas Carol, COVID, and then the first year we were opening back up, we did Christmas Carol again.
Right.
And Christmas Carol the second time outsold Christmas Carol the first time significantly. Mm-hmm. And so her feeling and understanding of Farmington was significant. And I learn every day, every week that I'm here, new information.
Right.
And so I said, maybe we should go for the trifecta. And she said, I think it's the kind of thing that is a nice Christmas thing for Farmington. So we booked again, and it's selling again really well.
There you go.
We're actually doing it on the 23rd.
Friday night. Yes.
Friday night.
7:30.
So that's 7:30 at the Civic Center. It's what I like about this is that it's well acted. All the technical elements are fun. It uses projection and puppets and a little magic, and it's a great family evening to kind of celebrate the Christmas season.
Right.
But also, if you have little ones, it's a great introduction to live theater because I love a theater performance. It has music, has dance, has good acting, has the classic, Christmas Carol story.
Sure.
But it's done in a way that moves quickly. It's, as we love to say now in theater, it's cinematic. Okay. So you're not sitting there waiting for a bunch of set changes. It moves well.
Right.
And it's funny. It's touching. You'll laugh, you'll cry.
All
it's
those
one of those
things.
things.
Yeah.
And it's fun and it's a little magical.
There you go. Well, it's this Friday, one night only, as
one
they say.
One show.
So if you don't get it, you miss it.
That's right.
So Friday night, the 23rd, 7:30 p.m., Farmington Civic Center, and there's a traveling group coming in.
Yes, it's a national touring.
Okay.
And actually,
you got them.
We got them, and it was a fun thing. Last time they played here, we'd just done Rocky Horror in October with the Professional Musical Theater Company, and Ed, who is my technical director, came to me and said, Christmas Carol has a really good stage manager. You might want to just see if she's available after the tour ends. And so I went up and I introduced myself and I said, are you booked in the spring? And she said, no, I'm not. And I said, well, here's my card. We're looking for a stage manager to do a new work with us in March.
Right.
And I went about my business, and it came to time to go back before the show. They were having dinner in our green room. And I usually try to pop in at that time and just say thank you for being in Farmington, and I hope that you enjoyed your time here, and we're really excited to see your show. And I said all that, and then a hand went up, and one of the actors said, could you tell us a little bit about Four Corners Musical Theater? And I said, I could.
Right.
And I did. And then they said, well, can any of us submit for any of that? And I said, of course you can. And I told them how. It's a video submission. You don't have to come here. You can just send the stuff that I need to see in a professional audition. And they did. And we had a couple of them come back and do Gene Kelly, the musical, with us. And then we probably had 4 or 5 of them do the summer season with us last summer. And then we probably had 6 or 7 of them in Sweeney Todd this October. And they literally went from Sweeney Todd directly to Christmas Carol, rehearsed, got on their bus and started touring, and we end their tour.
Okay.
So they perform with us on the 23rd, and then they all go home
Right,
for Christmas.
for Christmas.
Too.
Nice.
So it's a great thing.
Well, very good. Well, it'll be here, of course, on Friday night, the 23rd,
Absolutely.
7:30. Tickets still available.
Absolutely.
But they are selling.
They are selling well.
Good.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're seeing growth in attendance from
We are.
year to year.
We are, and
Which is
that's a
great to
wonderful
see
thing. Yes.
at the Civic Center, because that's a big theater to fill.
Thank you, my friend.
You're
Yes,
welcome, but-
it's a nice direction to be moving in.
Right. Well, and I think, I must say, I've seen many shows. I've been in a show. Thank you
Yeah,
for that.
yes, you were.
And I think the quality of the performances are getting around town. I think folks are talking it up
Thank
and
you.
talking about
Thank
it.
you.
And I think, they know that when they come to see a show at the Civic Center, whether it's local or touring or what have you, it's going to be a quality and entertaining evening out.
We're
and
trying
worth,
to earn
and worth
that
the money
trust.
they spend on a ticket. So congratulations on
Thank
that,
you.
because
Thank
that's
you.
a reputational thing that you have to build over time. It doesn't just happen.
And it's interesting. Last year we did a really fun touring show called The British Invasion, and it was a whole evening with a big multimedia package, basically songs of the British bands that came
Right.
over.
Yeah.
And it was all performed live with a band and 2 female singers that sang with the band, and then multimedia. And it was funny. The producer was British. Everybody else in the show, who all performed and spoke with British accents all the way through the show, were all cast out of New York. And they were not quite British.
Okay.
But the show was great, and they had a great time here. And the producer, when he went back and was starting to get ready for what they were going to put together and send out this year, I suddenly got an email, and he said, we're putting together a thing to tour called The Planet. And what we're looking for a theater that would like to work with us and help us put together the show for the first time, and then we'll tour.
Okay.
And I said, well, let me know what it is. And it's basically they're going to come in for a week, and everything's being shipped to the Civic Center, all their technical stuff.
Right.
And the truck that they're going to tour with is coming here, and while we're rehearsing with them, they'll be learning how to load the truck to be able to tour.
Oh.
And it's an 18-piece professional orchestra that plays in front of a big projection screen, and it's 4K nature footage narrated by David Attenborough.
Right.
And
No slouch.
no slouch, and played live with an 18-piece orchestra. And
Wow.
I had just had a couple of people email me and say, we love what you're doing, and it's a great mix, and it's a wonderful thing for Farmington. But have you thought about doing more things with professional instrumental players? And this happened the week after that. I sent them back and said, well, we'll see. And so obviously the San Juan Symphony is terrific, and that's a great thing that we have in and out of Farmington. But this is a chance to watch 18 professional players selected from all over the United States play together for the first time. They will be rehearsing that week. They'll play together to the program, and then when they get done, they will work on striking the show, load it up in the truck on Sunday, and then take off and do an entire national tour. So we end the Christmas tour here,
Right.
and
And you
we
start-
start the Planet tour here, which
How
is
about
kind of
that?
a fun thing.
And that's February 11th.
It is.
2023, a Saturday evening. Our Planet live in concert is what
Right.
we're talking about, right? And this is coming again, the first show, I guess.
It is the first show of our
in
new
this.
season.
How about that?
And boy, I've seen the photography. The nature photography is just striking. I mean,
Nice.
and I love the blending of mediums. I mean,
Right.
I love taking something that is great visual, and then elevating that with a all original score played for the first time in Farmington.
There you go. with David Attenborough.
With David Attenborough, well, he won't be here.
Well, no.
He's narrating.
Right, but still,
Right.
That's a pretty cool show. So that's happening on the 11th, and of course, all this information is online.
It is?
fmtn.org/shows,
Right.
which is where you need to go to find out all about this. But
And we have a show I can announce because it's signed and contracted, but not on the website yet.
Okay.
And that's coming February 28th. And that's Celtic Angels. And we had Celtic Angels booked before COVID
Right.
didn't let us do it.
Sure, but they're coming back.
It's 5 women from Ireland that sing Celtic music together. And so 5 female blended voices, and then they have 5 male dancers that all have been in and out of river dance. So
Okay,
they do
that
the river
stylish
dancing
kind of
style,
thing, right? Yeah.
And then a 4-piece band.
Okay.
So it's musicians, singers, and dancers all doing just a moving Celtic concert on
Nice.
February 28th, and
Okay.
that's called Celtic Angels.
Gotcha. And that'll be on the website, I bet,
It will
soon.
It's coming now. It
So-
should be within the next week or so.
Because I know part of the messaging that I've been seeing is if you're buying a Christmas gift for someone who's hard to buy for, perhaps some tickets to the Farmington
Absolutely.
Civic Center would be what you can
You
do.
can also just contact us and buy a gift certificate
Right.
for whatever amount you want, and you can reclaim it
future
for tickets
something.
once you decide what you want to do. And we're happy to do that.
Yeah. So, and the phone number if we wanted to call to do that?
505-599-1148.
All right. There you go, everybody. I think that's a great idea.
Great.
To support the arts in Farmington, support what you're doing.
Right.
And, of course, we've got these 3 shows coming up. I know there's more. You've got more up your sleeve.
We do.
And you've got some plans for summer that I want to
do.
ask you about
We
as
do.
well, because last summer was really, I think, blockbuster.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
Well, audiences grew over the summer,
Absolutely.
from what
Yes,
I
yes, yes.
understand. And so you've got the same kind of thing planned for
Well,
this
we
summer.
actually, last year in the March slot, we did new work.
That's right.
And that was Gene Kelly's Lost musical. Well, we're going to do a technically new work in March this year. As any of you that follow Four Corners Musical Theater probably know, I was really lucky about 38 years ago. I worked for 6 months with Stephen Sondheim and George Firth on their musical Merrily We Roll Along. And then both of those gentlemen, who were kind of giants in musical theater, mentored me until both of them passed. And Steve just passed about a year and a half ago. And so all of the professional theaters across the United States that do musical theater are doing some kind of a Sondheim tribute this year. And we just did Sweeney Todd in October, but in March, back when Steve allowed me to name a theater for him, and in part of that process, he gave me grand rights to everything he'd ever written, to create a brand new musical review. And I wrote a piece, created a piece with some other really great people called Celebrate Sondheim. And the same people that tour Christmas Carol got a hold of me and said, we're looking to maybe find a Sondheim piece to tour, and we know that you're kind of a Sondheim person. And I said, well, I am.
Right.
And I said, well, I was planning to do a workshop of this piece that I'd done before in March. Would you be interested in that? So this might absolutely not happen, but there is at least a possibility that when we do this show in March, which is 8 terrific singers, a multimedia package, a live band, doing mostly medleys arranged by there's the genius of Sondheim,
Right.
the humor of Sondheim, all
Sure.
in medleys.
Sure.
And originally when I put some of the chunks of this together, I was sending it to Steve, and he was giving me input and reaction. So at one point, this was a Sondheim approved medley, and now we are altering it and changing it some for this version. But I do know that the idea of it was something Sondheim blessed back
Right.
in the day.
Right.
And so it's a great way to do a tribute to someone that is truly iconic. And so in March, we're doing it with, as I said, 8 professional singers and a really fun technical multimedia package. and 9 professional musicians.
Okay.
And that's called Celebrate Sondheim,
Nice.
and that's the last 2 weeks of March in
Okay.
the Sondheim, in the Civic Center. And then this summer, we're doing the same kind of thing that we did last summer, which is 3 musicals,
Okay.
one in June, one in July, one in August. We'll be doing local auditions, and we were really happy with the amount of people that we had join us last year, and not only the amount of people, but the talent of the local
Right.
people,
Right.
and including yourself. And
Well, I
Annie,
don't know
and-
what happened there. You must have scraped the bottom of the barrel
no,
with that
you were
guy, but
terrific as,
thank
as,
you.
as President Roosevelt, and I think you would say also the kids in Annie
Oh.
were just
Terrific.
terrific.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I
Stole
pick-
every scene.
That's
I
right.
couldn't compete.
And we had a dog, kids and
That's
dogs.
right. I was just
you didn't have a chance.
Chewing the scenery. That's all I was doing. Yes, sir.
But I try to pick the third show to have kids in it, and we're doing that again this year. So
Okay.
the first show in
Parents,
June.
pay attention.
That's right.
This is it.
We'll be doing auditions end of February. That will be announced. They're really not scary. They're meant to just encourage people with talent to come stick their toe in and
Right.
see what it's all about. But in June, we're doing Spam-A-Lot, which is Monty Python's version of the Camelot story.
Yes.
It's a little ribald, and if you, it is very close to the original movie of Spam-A-Lot is the Holy Grail.
Yes.
By our friends from Britain.
Right.
But
And if you're not familiar with Monty Python anything, just search YouTube and you'll find a hilarious clip somewhere about something.
Both physical slapstick and
Yes.
some of the really smart comedy as
Very
well.
much.
So it's kind of like the Three Stooges meet some kind of intellectual comedy.
Right.
And they wrote it into a musical, and it's a funny musical.
Yep.
Called Spam-A-Lot. And we're doing that for 2 weeks in the Civic Center in June.
Okay.
And then for July, for 4 weeks out at Sandstone, we're doing Into the Woods, which is the Stephen Sondheim fairy tale
Yes.
musical. And I really spend time thinking about choosing the Sandstone show.
Sure.
Because I've told you that I'm a fan of that asset. I think it's a wonderful cultural asset for Farmington. But
Well,
to
it allows you to do more than you could do in a theater.
That's
I guess
right.
in an indoor setting. I guess is what I'm
Right.
trying to say.
Well, so if you pick a musical, when you sit down and you look at all of Sandstone and say, how do I take that wonderful environment and really engage it in a musical?
Right.
That's what I've tried to do with the shows that we've done. We've done Mamma Mia, and then last year we did Pirates of Penzance, and this year I think we can really do both the really fantasy part of Into the Woods and a little bit of the scary wood parts of Into the Woods. And it's the first act is the absolutely traditional happily ever after for a whole group of fairy tales,
Right.
and the second act is a little bit of a cautionary tale about be a little careful what you wish for.
That's right.
And that,
That's
but
right.
so but great characters, great songs, and then that's July, and then we're coming back in August to do 2 weeks in the Civic Center with a whole group of young people, and we're doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And the way I do it, and I've been doing this version for many years now, is that there are a lot of musical genre spoofs in Joseph. There's a 50s
Right.
tune, there's a jazz tune, there's a country tune. And so when I was getting ready to do it, I said, well, what about if I took 14 different Broadway choreographers and I matched their dance style for Broadway to the musical style? So we do the jazz number in Bob Fosse, we do the country number in Tommy Tune, and there are 14 total Broadway choreographers that this summer, if you don't care, you can come, and it's a big eclectic dance show.
Sure.
And if you do care, it's really kind of fun, and
Yeah.
we give you little hints in the program of whose style is where, and what it does is it takes a group of dancers and certainly a group of local people and really helps them be exposed to the difference in Broadway dance in all these different styles.
Right.
And it's a fun, it's, I used to say, Joseph is cotton candy. the whole show is cotton candy, but it's good cotton candy. So
definitely.
in the
Right.
summer, it's
Well,
a fun way to spend an evening.
Great music.
Yeah.
A great story, and
Sung through.
Yeah.
So it just goes.
it does. So,
And-
but there you go. But that's a full summer once again.
So Spamalot to Into the Woods to Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Gotcha.
And I hope that the city will come out and support it in the same way they supported us last year. It was the thrill.
Well, the city, the county, the whole region,
Thank
I think,
you.
will
Yeah.
come out and do that. And so for kids that are going to be signed up, they're going to be practicing and rehearsing for Joseph. That's kind of the plan,
so,
right?
So what we did is the same thing as Annie. We do the auditions early. We set it up. Last year we called it Annie Boot Camp,
Right.
And it was a matter of if you take a vacation in the summer and you're going to be gone for a week, that's fine. But once a week we find out from the participants, when do you want to start rehearsing for 90 minutes a week, once a week, and we teach the dance technique, and then we take the dance technique and we start blending it with the actual songs. And by the time when the professional cast, which we rehearsed pretty short in the summer, it's about a 14-day rehearsal
Yeah.
period. But by the time we started that 14 days for Annie, the local talent knew all their musical numbers. They knew what they were singing. They knew what they were dancing. It was just kind of a matter of putting it all together so they know where on the stage they were doing it.
Right.
But they came in with such confidence that I don't think all summer, really, you ever felt like, well, here's the pros and here's the locals. All you really felt was, here's a great group of talented people doing musical theater, and that's the goal of the program.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks in the audience couldn't tell, maybe,
Right.
if they didn't know who was
Right.
local, who'd you bring in, who was the ringer, who was the
And,
other folks, and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's also a matter of casting not only really talented professionals, which I'm blessed with the people that want to come to Farmington and want to do these shows. I mean, I'm just getting submissions every week from terrific people, but I sit down and I talk to them about, this is what this program is, and it's not right for everybody. I mean, if you don't realize that part of your contract is to mentor the people that you're working with in that show, and not only by example, but if you're asked, get down and help them.
Right.
And I think that what that does, the people that did it last summer, I think they would tell you, it unlocks potential just like crazy. Because first of all, we create a safe environment. I don't believe in anybody being a screamer or a yeller. I think intimidating talent makes them go the wrong way. You want to nurture talent so they know. I tell them, if you're going to make a mistake, make a big one. I mean, don't worry.
Right.
You learn by making mistakes. So
True.
don't be afraid to do that.
Sure.
And if they're surrounded by people that are just soaring, they get caught up by that safe environment and they soar too. And it's
Right.
and then the goal of that is we do it in the summer. And then in Farmington, whether or not they go back to the dance academies here, and they take this experience and apply it to the dance academy. So when they go out and compete, they've got people that are competing maybe at a higher level than they were 6 months ago because they spent this time in the summer.
Right.
Or they go back to the school programs, the high schools, the middle schools, the colleges, or to the community theaters, and they take this summer experience and apply it, and what it does is it just grows roots into the community culturally, and
Sure.
that's what we're trying to do.
Very true. Well, and again, I have to say, by this point, we've seen some of these actors coming back time after time to be in these shows, and they're getting their own little fan base, I think,
Right.
here in the community.
Right.
And folks know when they go to see a production with so-and-so in it or so-and-so in it that it's going to be a quality thing because they've seen them in other things that you've
Right.
brought before, and they want to come back, I think.
Right.
I mean, I
And,
don't
you know,
know if they... I
for
mean, I
example-
know, the pay is always nice,
Yeah.
but they must love what they do, and
Absolutely.
they want to come back and be in your shows.
It's funny that at the point where I am in my career now, I tell them that I want to work in a supportive family environment that embraces all ages and takes all of us based on where we are and moves us all in one direction. And there's no room for in the functional of our family. We have to be a functional family. and everybody seems to get that. And I literally say we practice Bambi philosophy. If you can't say something nice, just keep it to yourself. And I think we pretty much keep that throughout the summer, and that feeling. I mean, when the people come back, they say, I always know that if I take a contract in Four Corners Musical Theater, I'm going to be surrounded by talented people, but I'm also going to have a great time doing a great musical.
Right.
Because we do care deeply about the end product. We want to deliver the best possible musical we can, but we want everybody at the end of that to say, you know what? I'm coming back next summer if I'm available and doing this again.
Right.
We don't want anybody to feel like, oh my gosh, I got through it, but boy, I never want to do that again. We want them to get through it and say, boy, the next chance I get, whether or not it's with Four Corners or in their school or in their community, they're going to keep doing theater when they can.
Right. But they certainly know what's expected of them, and
Yeah.
they do come prepared and ready to get to work, because you've got, with a summer schedule like that, a 2-week break maybe of rehearsals
Right.
in between these shows, and then
Right.
they're back on stage with a totally different character, totally different lines
And I'll
and
tell you,
music and
Sarah
everything else.
Harkness, who is my choreographer, I've known and worked with Sarah since she was young. She's at the peak right now. She's doing great work. The musical directors that I get to bring in, whether or not it's Steve Zabroom or Aaron, they're just great people. And the musicians that play our shows, they have a great time playing the shows. And
sure.
so it's and the designers, the lights are terrific. The costumes are great fun, and it's just it's a thrill to get to see this grow in Farmington and be part of what we do through the Civic Center.
Right. Well, I have to agree, and not just because I was in it, but I have to agree because I saw it and I was in the audience too, and it's been great. And I have to give a shout out to the city, who's been very supportive.
They've been wonderful.
And because I think again, to try to keep ticket prices affordable
Right,
for your
absolutely.
audiences, it takes a little money maybe from the city to help make that happen. And
does.
so kudos to the city manager and the city council and the mayor and all the other, and the assistant city manager and all the other folks.
That's right.
That are helping to make this happen, to make
And in my
Farmington
own
a destination
department,
for the
Shauna
arts.
and Natalie are the best.
That's
I
right.
I just get to work with terrific people, and the people that work at the Civic Center with me.
True.
They're just I have a wonderful group of people that get it. They know what we're trying to do, and they're bought into it. And then now, besides the Civic Center and Sandstone, in the spring we'll be opening up the Toda.
Right.
And the Toda will be doing live performances in there. We'll be doing films in there, and we'll be teaching film and television classes there. So that's another whole dynamic that we hope will bring a new energy to the downtown that wasn't there.
There you go. And so we'll have you back to talk a little bit about the Tota schedule.
I'd love to do that.
But your vision, I guess, is for those types of things that you spoke about. Maybe having some film, because it's a smaller venue, of course.
Right. 280 seats.
Right. So for some films, maybe, and some smaller performances and things along that line is what you envision.
And the theater ensemble, which is our community theater, they're interested in performing there. Caliente, which is the local choir.
Right.
280 seats for some of those groups. The Civic Center, which is what I've had, is great, and we find ways to make that work. But sometimes you want to be in an intimate thing where 200 people just feels like it fills the theater, and you have that you're breathing the same air that with the people that are in your audience. And we haven't had that size theater available in the Civic Center group of theaters, and so now we'll have a 220. Sandstone is 500, and then the Civic Center is 12.
Exciting. Very exciting. And of course, the Tota is also designed to be kind of that home base for any film projects that
Absolutely.
are coming to the area, or TV projects, right? And
we have
that's also
production
part of it.
offices that will be rented to film or television people that want a home base, and they can also run down and watch whatever they're shooting projected. The cinema package is state of the art at the Toda now. We'll be able to do. I mean, we can certainly play a Blu-ray.
Sure.
But if you actually, we'll be renting films on data cartridges that load in, and it will match, and it's 7.2 surround sound Dolby, so a big sound system, a really fun projection system. But also, we want to be doing local 5-minute movies.
Right.
We want to be encouraging local people to now. you can shoot stuff off your camera and edit it on your computer. And so if you have a creative idea, you can do a 5-minute movie without having a big investment in equipment.
Right.
And
we can share that now.
we can. And certainly we're going to be invested in Southwestern films and New Mexican films, and but also, on a certain weekend we'll do 80s action films just because we should.
Yeah.
Margaret and I were watching an 80s action film last night just because it was on, and there's that energy that was a certain thing in cinema, that getting to see that on a big screen again is fun.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say big energy, big hair, and
That's
shoulder
right.
pads.
There
you can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
That's right. Wonderful.
Thank you so much for your support for
You
everything.
bet, Randy. Of course. Well, I think it's great. I think it's great to see it here again. For some of the things that you bring to town, if folks were to go to another town to see them, I think they'd pay a lot more.
They would.
In a ticket price. And so I think we're a bit spoiled by being able to see this great talent in Farmington and pay the price we pay for a ticket.
Well, and I will tell you that even the Civic Center, which is 1,200 seats, it is acoustically live. I mean, you hear it was really designed for live theater or acoustic music. We certainly have put some big bands in there that make a big sound, and we can tune that to where that works. But the locals, when they come in, and we do a choir competition for the local middle schools or high schools, and they come in and they sing, and the Civic Center, it's not a barn.
No.
It doesn't sound like a barn. It doesn't
Right.
feel like a barn. It has an intimacy to it, even though it is a larger theater. So it's a great place to perform, I think.
Very much, very much. Well, and then, of course, you've got all the other amenities,
That's
too,
right.
for meetings and conventions and
And the
conferences.
Civic Center, we can do a sit-down dinner for 600, and we just did the city manager's Christmas party was right at 300 or 400 people. We do
Right.
the mayor's ball every year.
Sure,
and that
right.
those are right at between 500 600 people in a sit-down served dinner, and that's another great element of the Civic Center, and just meeting rooms.
That's right.
We serve nonprofits that just want to get together every month and come down and get together. We will give you a room.
There you go. So, see?
Yeah.
Phone number one more time before we run out of time.
505-599-1148, and you'll probably get Rita, and tell Rita that Randy said to say hi.
There you go. And fmtn.org/shows.
That's right.
For all the shows that are scheduled, and the ones yet to be scheduled will
Yep.
be showing up soon.
And look for auditions. We'll be announcing auditions in the end of February really soon.
Okay. Very good.
Thank
Busy
you
guy.
for having me. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Same to you. Happy New Year. We'll see you
betcha.
in the new year.
Racing into the new year.
Racing it is. That's true. Randy West, my
Thank you.
guest here on KSJE.